Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be taking a look at a potential leak for Battlefield 7, so this was found over on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit. I'm not sure as to the exact validity of this, but as always with any leaks and rumors about the game, we're still going to take a look at them nevertheless, right, because they may turn out to be true as they sometimes do, and it's always just interesting to bounce ideas off of one another in the comments section and see what you guys think about this. As always guys, if you do enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit up that subscribe button. We will be covering everything leading up to the release of Battlefield 7 or whatever the game happens to be called in the future. Sorry there hasn't been much content over the past couple of weeks. I've been on vacation. I am now back. I had a really nice time, so thank you for your patience. Without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, I want to reference the user who posted this over on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, because this can tell us a little bit about the validity of this claim here. So this guy is called Keck and Cock. Bit of a weird name there. And if we scroll down his post timeline, this guy doesn't seem to be like a general Reddit user who posts on various different subreddits that he's interested in. He seems to exclusively post on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors, and you can see he's posting a bunch of information about various different games and leaks and things like that that have come out for them. So it seems this guy this is what he does. He frequents the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, and he posts information about upcoming games. Now, where the source is of this, where he got this from, we don't exactly know, but let's get into it here and take a look at what he's got. So he says that this is a casting call for Battlefield 7. So the casting for one of the characters in the game. So the project name is Timeless Fields. Now, it is worth pointing out that this is quite unlike any of the placeholder names that DICE and EA have used for past Battlefield games. So generally speaking, they have always been named after places. So Battlefield 3 was called Venice, Battlefield 4 was called Warsaw. That hasn't always been the case. They have deviated from this pattern, so maybe Timeless Fields is a new pattern, who knows. But he says it is an Electronic Arts production. The storyline of Timeless Fields is an action-adventure military-themed game. So Battlefield definitely can be classified as action and military. I wouldn't necessarily say adventure though, but if we're talking about the campaign here, then maybe it is. So here is the character that they are looking to cast for. So the character's name is Rosonda. They are looking for a Slavic woman between the ages of 25 and 35 with an authentic Croatian, Bosnian or Serbian accent. Special Forces operator. Rosonda was always the outcast as the child of two different ethnic backgrounds in Croatia. A tactician of remarkable mental and physical courage, she commands respect and attention. She can be impatient and despises weakness. So to me this sounds like a character that's kind of a hard ass. She's had a tough upbringing from these two different parents here, and she's now become this military leader figure here. It also says you need to be fit, athletic, and able to move with a prop weapon easily. So presumably that's so that they can do mocap stuff, or cinematics and all of that good stuff for the campaign. And it also says the requirement is that you need to be able to speak Croatian and or Bosnian or Serbian, presumably depending on where you come from. So as I said at the beginning of the video, I really don't have any source for this. I don't know how legitimate this guy is, what kind of a track record he has, or anything like that. This could be a complete cock and bull story. We just really don't know, so take it with a massive grain of salt. But all I will say is I really hope that this character is just going to be in the campaign if it does turn out to be true, because I think the last thing that at least most of us want is specialists returning to the multiplayer of the next game. I really hope they are going to return to the class system and hopefully re-embrace the more generic soldier look. If we remember how they looked in Battlefield 4, for example, those beautiful old class designs, these small yet unique differences between the factions became instantly identifiable to us. And, you know, it was all rolled up in this nice grounded realism that just fit the part. It just really fit the game well. And even though you might look at these and not be able to remember the differences between the different classes and the different factions right off the bat, you know, as you played the game, they really did start to stand out to you. So you don't necessarily need, you know, characters where you can always see their face and you can identify a different person. Sometimes just the look of what the user is wearing is enough to identify the class and the faction. I do think it's more likely that this casting is only for the single player, though. After all, multiplayer characters aren't really going to have many voice lines, and, you know, there's a big emphasis placed here in this casting call role that the person is able to speak a certain language, and that they're a certain age, and that they can record all the mocap stuff, so that's got to be for campaign, right? Hopefully they're not going to put in any stupid, cringy voice lines. I really hope DICE and EA learn their lesson with 2042 for that one. I mean, obviously you're going to have some voice lines. You've got the in-game voice lines, right? Like when your soldier is spotting somebody or throwing down ammo, they have these quirky little voice lines. And actually in Battlefield 2042, those voice lines aren't too bad, and they never really have been. It was just those end-of-round voice lines that were a problem, and overall, well, not just a little bit cringy, but, you know, way off the charts. Now, a couple of other bits of news I wanted to touch on here. These came out a couple of weeks ago, so you guys may have already heard of them, but I just wanted to give you my thoughts because I was on vacation. So, first of all, EA is hiring ex-military veterans to help shape the next iteration of the Battlefield franchise through their so-called Hiring Our Heroes program. Now, this is not really anything new for a gaming company. Gaming companies, I feel this is more like the rule rather than the exception these days. Everybody seems to be doing it. They're bringing military specialists like Navy SEALs and stuff on board so that they can get the weapon reloads and the tactical maneuvering correct in the game. So Battlefield have already done this before in previous games, and they're certainly not the first company to do this. However, a lot of people seem to be freaking out about this news and thinking that it's a sign that the next Battlefield game is going to be more realistic and maybe even a milsim game. Personally, I think that's a load of bollocks. I think this is a good thing to involve these people. First of all, it's actually letting them utilize their expertise to help make our games better that we enjoy playing. But secondly, it may well lead to the next Battlefield game being, let's call it more authentic. Let's not say more realistic, because realism is a double-edged sword. You don't necessarily want realism. Do we all want to die from one shot to the chest or the head? No, probably not. So let's say it's going to make the game a more of an authentic experience. At least that's what I think about it. However, in saying that, we also recently saw an article from Rant. Now, Rant have been known for putting up multiple Battlefield articles where they really just never seem to be able to hit the nail on the head. They're way more out of touch with the Battlefield community than even EA has been in the past couple of years. And this article is no exception. So it's called, "The Next Battlefield Should Go Out of Its Way to Satisfy One Side of Its Community." And one of the major talking points of this article is that a realism mode in the upcoming release could cater to players seeking a more strategic and immersive gameplay experience. Battlefield could differentiate itself from Call of Duty by offering both traditional arcade gameplay and a realism mode for variety. So I don't know how many times we have to say this, but Battlefield is an arcade game. If you want to have a hardcore mode in Battlefield, as long as it doesn't have any effect on the core game, on the de facto Battlefield experience, then, sure, I guess, go nuts. It doesn't really make a difference to me one way or the other, but in my mind, Battlefield is always going to be an arcade experience. Definitely grounded in realism, definitely authentic, but not a realistic milsim shooter in any shape, way, or form. But what this article seems to really be pushing to is that Battlefield have to change something to, make the Call of Duty audience or the people who aren't playing Battlefield happy. And I really don't agree with that at all. I think the only thing that EA and DICE need to do with Battlefield is to make it Battlefield again, because Battlefield had a really big audience, and there is a massive audience out there waiting on the wings for a good Battlefield game. We don't need to copy anyone else. We don't need to try and reinvent the wheel, guys. Just make a good Battlefield game. That's it. That's all you've got to do. And then finally here we have an article by Tom Henderson over on Insider Gaming that says, should Battlefield go head-to-head with Call of Duty in 2025? Now, not only is Call of Duty releasing, like it does every single year, but, GTA 6 is going to be releasing then as well. For me, I don't think that's really anything to be scared of. I can easily play 2 games at once. I'm not going to exclusively hop on Grand Theft Auto 6. In fact, when GTA 5 released, I didn't play it on console at all. I waited a year or more for whenever it released on PC, and I played it then. So, am I necessarily going to jump on GTA 6 at release? Maybe, probably. I think it's coming out on all platforms at the same time now, but I don't think it's really a game that's going necessarily head-to-head with Battlefield. It's not a direct competitor, but I guess what he's saying here is that it's a competitor with every game. You know, that's what I would be more so worried about. But Battlefield going head to head with Call of Duty, I mean, the game releases every single year. I don't really see why this release year should be any different than any other when a Battlefield game releases. I also think that the crowd, like the community who are playing Battlefield, a lot of them play Battlefield because they don't want to play Call of Duty. Now, there's nothing wrong with playing both games. There are plenty of people who do enjoy both games, and maybe some of those people will have to choose, do I want to play COD or do I want to play Battlefield? But for the most part, I don't think the release of a Call of Duty game is going to scare off the Battlefield audience, especially not if Battlefield 2025 or Battlefield 7 or whatever you want to call it is a good Battlefield game. You know, that's what EA and DICE should be concentrating on. They shouldn't be worrying themselves, in my opinion, too much about when other games are going to release. They just want to make this game an absolute banger. So there we go, guys. Just wanted to do a bit of a news roundup because it's been a while. You know, there were a number of things I wanted to comment on here, so apologies if you've heard them before, but nevertheless, I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments down below. I'm going to be keeping my ear to the ground about news for Battlefield 7, any leaks and rumors and things of that nature that come my way, so if that's something that interests you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one.